Hi, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with someone who is creating in the world of comics, both writer and artist, Marshall Lakes. Marshall, welcome to the show. May I call you Marshall?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. I
Yeah.
having a good, having a good time.
Awesome.
always good,
Awesome.
always a good time we can talk about comics, so it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I'm checking out some of the things around you right now. Is that a Ready Player One poster up? I think that's what that is.
Yes,
And
it is.
uh,
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, sure is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a
see
movie
some
called Ready
G.I.
Player One.
Joe.
Yep. Uh there's lots of cool stuff. The G.I. Joe stuff. Uh I met Mike Zeck and he had some recolored pieces that he had done, covers that he had done from back in the day.
Nice.
So I grabbed a couple, um, and then I think one of the cooler new things is I did a con with Patty Cockrum, and
Hmm.
she uh, she gave me, like, she said that was one of just character that Dave had created. Just one of the many things David created, and probably you know pre like Lalandra era stuff, from
Oh, cool.
and just the alien girl he had created. And so of course that's what I think it was probably based, some of the stuff was probably based off of, Lalandra, and you know, some of the stuff in the X-Men, with his aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
I even got like the first uh, Mystique sketch, the one that he had just
Oh.
created a character, and apparently, of course, what she was talking about was um, that Claremont had walked past the office and just saw, the drawing on the office, like, oh my gosh, who's that? Just a character created. Oh, cool. I want to use it. Let's put in X-Men, you know,
Cool.
and that's how that was Mystique. So that was a fun time. It was at Eastgate Comic Con
Hmm.
in Greensboro, and so Patty was there, and she gave me all the juice, all the details of old school Marvel, which I was all here for because I read all that stuff, back
Yeah.
in the day.
Yeah. Well, you're of course based in North Carolina, and there are a couple of titles
Mhm.
that that I'll mention here. Dr. Zhang, I think you're wearing the shirt for currently. So
I'm wearing the
that's
shirt. That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You have Interstellar Stir
Yeah,
Fry, which is a cool title, by
yeah.
the way. The
Thank
Horror
you.
Planet books, I believe that's a series, a couple of those.
The what now? What did you call it?
The Horror Planet,
The
is that
planet
right?
what? Or planet? Yes, yeah. That's a whole. Yeah. Doctor Zong and Frank is part of that world. Of
Yeah,
the horror planet world.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then Scary Powerful and The Social
Uh huh.
Distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The scary, powerful stuff was a kind of a art book from of females from that horror planet world again.
Hmm.
I just wanted to get. I had just over time I created all these characters that probably won't be in the comic until maybe a year or two later. But I just kind of wanted to kind of intro them out there, and I'm like, and I ended up having a full book. I could fill a book, I could fill an art book with all this art, and so I did, and so that was cool.
Yeah.
And people kind of enjoy it, and they'll figure out later on where this character gets introduced and where things get introduced in the book, and or in which book, because the horror planet consists of, like, um, Doctor Zone and Frank.
Hmm.
Uh, it could also consist of Violet, the vampire princess, and it also consists of Magic, Vaughn the Last Wizard. And so has right now has those three books that are in there, and these are all, and it's a world. Do you want to hear all this?
Yeah,
It's a,
you're good. You are fine.
it is a
You're fine.
world. Yeah, it's a world that I have that's kind of ruled by vampires, and so they're the ruling class. And what happens is I have, and the rule is a little oppressive, as vampires can probably be, and
Hmm.
you end up with your certain set of characters who are basically in their own way trying to improve or even fight for a better life. So so these are kind of extraordinary people, all of these are. And one other book that I haven't that I need to relaunch is called Zanvia, and she's another, but I haven't. I need to go ahead and relaunch that book. I had I need to kind of do a little redrawing, remarketing, rebranding with that character. So,
Hmm.
but she was one of the early characters in that world too. But so all these are kind of extraordinary characters, and probably in different continents, or some of them are in the same continent of of Horror Planet, and they're all like waging their little kind of resistance per se, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and just kind of, so it's not there. I don't do like superhero books. I just have you know, just some extraordinary people. And Dr. Zhang was the head scientist of for the Vampire Nation, and so which things like high end technology are either very much controlled or almost suppressed. Because technology probably would be very dangerous to vampires. Also, things like magic would be fairly dangerous to vampires if things like that just got out. So that's where we have Dr. Zhong. He was like the big scientist, and we have Vaughn, who was the wizard. He's like the secret wizard. He walks around in regular, walks around. He's basically a doctor, and then he like is secretly kind of this wizard, and he's been trying to gather magical items and magical things, and trying to boost his magical mojo, so he can one day go public. But he's not trying to go public right now
Gotcha.
in
Gotcha.
that world.
Yeah, I love
So
the.
it's
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
nah. Go ahead. I'd rather answer questions than anyway.
No, no, you're
Go ahead.
fine. I was just gonna say, I love superhero stories, but I also love science fiction and
Yeah.
horror. So it sounds like that those are genres that you're also attracted to.
Oh, big time, big time. Yeah, it's I mean, I love superhero stuff too. I just didn't think I had I didn't think I had anything to say or add to the world in that genre, in the way of like the Cape Crusader kind of character, the superhero character.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now I and so I could play better in. I think I had more to add with with the horror slash fantasy genre,
Yeah.
and the sci fantasy, like science fiction fantasy, with and I can just deal with extraordinary people,
Hmm.
and that just and so therefore, yes, they are superheroes, but they don't don a secret identity all the time, and you know what I mean, and go out and fight crime or anything like that. Like the Dr. Zhang and Frank characters, they're kind of on the run once they've been outed. Once Dr. Zong's been outed as like an enemy of the state, basically,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so they're kind of on the run. But then, as they're on the run, they just find trouble to get into, and it's like they just fall backwards into trouble all the time. Oh, okay, well, is this a is this town full of werewolves? How do we find the one town that's full of werewolves over here? You know what I
Right,
mean? That
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, and we have to, and we're trying to keep a low profile, but no, and that kind of thing. They just whatever on their way of being on the run and trying to you know, do that. They end up helping people, and that's a neat thing. And and I have a ball. I have a ball drawing it. I have a ball like creating the stuff. I have a ball writing it, and it's absolutely amazing. And what was cool was I had a really good response from Heroes Con this year with it.
Mhm.
So because I'll say basically introduced everything like as a world to Heroes Con this year, and that was like I've been throwing out snippets of books for a couple years now, maybe more, and but to really like put it together in a nice polished product,
Mhm.
this was the year, and this was good. I had, of course, I had people who knew me really jump on it, and then people who complete strangers and who really jumped on it. And it was absolutely an amazing feeling to just show up at my favorite Comic Con,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just the one I grew up going to as a little kid, and when I first met George Perez, and
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I um, to show up with a bunch of comics, and like, hey, here, people, um, whether I'm smacking them over the side of the head with my books or, here, take this.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it was a neat feeling, and the response was good, and yeah, I'll take it, And I'm working on most of my sci-fi era stuff, like my Interstellar Stir Fry. I'm relaunching that because I had basically launched that. Well, I did a little back in 2016. That book was I did a very, very like small release of it and at Heroes Con actually, uh, and then I was like, okay, let's do some rebrand. Let's put it together. Let's do some rebranding. Play with my logo some. Let's play with stuff, and I was going to release it in 2020, and then of course the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So I put it, yeah. So I put it on Webtoons basically,
Mhm. Mhm.
and for people to get into, and it actually went well. I mean, it wasn't like since I don't do like heavy manga stuff, it's not huge. It didn't go huge, but it was big enough for me because it taught me a lot of things, which was great. And so now I'm finally getting back into that. So that's what I'll be working on most of the summer to really move that story forward. Have some new books in print for that, and so hopefully definitely I'll have books by next year Heroes Con, but more than likely I'll have stuff for most of the cons in the winter and and late fall, and plus my Robots and Jazz book, which is another one of my
Mhm.
sci-fi books,
Mhm.
is working on. Actually, next month I'll have a fresh issue of that, and I'm excited about that too because I did a collab with some other artist friends and with some people I've mentored, and they're doing some stuff on this book with me, and so I'm excited to push those guys out into the world, into the a greater world, and
Mhm.
let people see how cool I think they are, and and get to hopefully read what I think is a cool story, about my robot character, Jack,
Yeah. Yeah.
who loves to play music, who loves to play jazz, So and so yeah, so those are I guess close to my heart. All those things are heart, close to the heart, and I'm putting myself out there, putting my heart out there,
Good.
putting these stories out there. It's just and for um and it's just neat for people to share it with people. I I for even with my small circulation, it's been fantastic to introduce all this stuff to new people, and so it's been great, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a busy summer and year ahead of you, and it sounds like Heroes Con was right there as far as helping you decide that comics were the space that you wanted to create in as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Heroes. Yeah. They didn't do me any favors with pushing me into comics. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was just it's uh it's something I couldn't, you couldn't get away from. I mean, definitely Sheldon just with he made it, I guess with their setup they just made it too cool. Like they made it too easy for you to walk up and meet artists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They made it, like my very first con was in Greensboro, was where you met like Jack Kirby, where I met Jack Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, they they moved you through, but of course there people were ready to see Jack Kirby, and Roz was moving you through. Like Jack will just sit there and talk with you all day if he wants, but Roz like, nah, you gotta move, it's like, yeah, let me tell you about the Silver Cipher. The Silver Cipher has cosmic power, kid. And it was, and and I was just a little kid, and I was young, and we had started a comics club in my junior high school, whatever, and that was our first little field trip. And we went. I was like, we're gonna go to a Comic Con. What's a Comic Con?
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna meet this guy named Jack Kirby. Who's Jack Kirby?
Nice. Love it. Love it.
And yeah, yeah. And so again, does me no favors. I does me no favors and helped me get a real job. It it's like, oh, okay, you got the comics bug, and now you're stuck.
Yeah. Mhm. Now you have been both writer and artist on a lot of books, but you've also had some collaborations. So any collaborators or supporters that you'd like to shout out?
Yeah. Obviously, probably one big one is Ernest Graham. He drew all the interiors for Vaughn the Last Wizard, which is Magic Vaughn the Last Wizard, and so he's a fantastic guy. Fantastic. He was there at the con for at least 2 days. While I was there, had him sit at my table some, and that was a blast for him because he's never done that before. Kind of always wanted to, I think, and
Mhm.
it was he had a blast. And so yeah, he's in a formal life. I think he was an illustrator. He said, and now he's a priest. And
Oh wow,
so
wow.
he, yeah, so he and so we met at a drink and draw. We have a drink and draw in Greensboro,
Mhm.
and so he was like, "Oh man, this is cool what you're doing. Can I draw some stuff? Can I draw it?" And so we met up, and I was like, "Here, I got a character for you. Play with this."
Mhm. Mhm.
And then probably some of my other guys. Well, you know, Chris Giarusso, big help, and he's one of my studio mates, and he's been a huge help with teaching me all about the nuts and bolts of comics, and helping me redo my logos and redo my lettering and things like that. Randy Green, another studio mate, all the guys in my studio, um, have all, whether they know it or not, have been big helps in just making my Smitty, been making this journey, possible. And so yeah, yeah. And even Jody, has been good too. Has been great.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
studio mate, and so yeah, it's all it's cool, and then up and coming with the Robots and Jazz, this guy Tyler Woods, and another artist, and Elijah Miller, and both all those have been or have been and will be integral in making all this stuff happen for me. And they're all fantastic people, and you like to surround yourself with fantastic people,
Yeah.
and then if you do that, you hopefully produce fantastic things, you know.
Yeah. Well, by means of a last official question, and then we can hit anything that
Uh-huh.
we might have missed. You have a range of books out there. I know that people can go to Webtoons, but and of course they can come to Heroes Con to see you, but other spaces where they can connect to get some of the work, to get their hands on that, to check it out, and to kind of see what you're about.
Yeah, marshallakes.com. All my books are there, and I just updated the storefront uh, with the second issue of Dr. Zong Frank, and so yeah, so all pretty much you can get all my books over there. Just kind of click on go to marshallakes.com and click down underneath the t-shirt logo, t-shirt link, and then you can go to the store and pick up anything. And I'm also on Instagram, MLAKES53, and also and you can and that's those are good ways to find my stuff, find my books, communicate with me if need be, uh, and Marshall Lakes Illustration on Facebook. You can also find me there.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's see. We talked about origins. We talked about the
Hmm.
genres that you like. We talked about collaborators
Hmm.
and where people can go. Did we miss anything that you want to make sure to share?
Um, I don't think so. I can. I don't think there's anything in particular. I mean, whatever you think is good,
Yeah,
but that's yeah, whatever
I'm
you think is
curious
good.
about the
Yeah.
action figure tour. Who do you have up on your wall back there?
Oh, the action figure. Let's see. Right behind me over my head here.
Uh-huh.
Right? Is that what we're looking at? Okay.
Yeah.
I have let's see. Okay. So we have Blue Marvel up here. We have Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian,
Nice.
and that's a and we have a little Kamala Khan. I mean, that's a Marvel girl, and okay, and this one is Diana from Dungeons and Dragons cartoon,
Uh-huh.
which I used
Uh-huh.
to love back in the '80s, um, and this one is awesome right here. This Frozone right
Yeah.
here is
Yeah, The
freaking
Incredibles.
awesome, man.
That's cool.
Yes, yes. Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's those. Um, oh, here we go. This figure of Beta Ray Bill
Oh,
is
love a Beta Ray Bill. Yeah.
in these
Oh,
here we go.
nice. Some Jimi Hendrix.
Lucy Collins and Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. And it's
Nice.
velvet too.
Oh,
This
love it.
the card is velvet. How crazy is that, right? It's glow in
That's
the
so
dark
cool.
velvet. And so I'm not even trying to keep up. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I just picked I just picked some very very specific things I like and genres, and pretty much I would say I was like, okay, what like because like they have like literally thousands of figures I think now in the studio. We have studios and
That's cool.
museum. Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's got everything. Um, Everything kind of retro and old. It's going back between Smitty and Chris. It's amazing. And then Randy's got all his Gundams and every single giant robot that has ever been made. He's got, and so I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I I found it pretty easy. I was like, okay, I'll just grab like some of the significant like African American characters,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that I find that to be a probably sadly, but I find it to be an easy thing to collect. like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
easy thing to collect, but it is um it doesn't it doesn't allow me to go too deep down a rabbit hole either.
Hmm. Hmm.
And because this was like Chris and him, I'll shoot you a picture of the hallway in the
Yes,
studio,
please
and
do.
you're yeah, I will do that, and you're gonna be like, what the heck? Like these guys have a problem here. Probably need a 12 step program. Um,
It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to
and
have.
it is. I really enjoy the atmosphere that it brings. So
Yeah.
it's it's good stuff. Um, so yeah, those are those are all. Are you a collector at all?
Just a little bit. I'll occasionally get a figure. Like I got this one just recently. My
Yep.
friend actually gifted me with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, a little bit, but not too much of a collector.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think we have that Blue Beetle in the studio here somewhere too. We have
Nice, nice.
we do have those there. I think Chris collects all those superpowered line right there, and
Yeah,
um, but mostly I think his big collection is the stuff from the Bruce Tim style stuff.
yeah, I love that
That
stuff.
yeah. So we have. Oh, like I said, I'll shoot you a picture, but it's like thousands of those. Like he has at least 100 Batman
Oh
versions of
wow.
Batman in that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 10 Robins or 15 or just actually even 4 or 5 Nightwings. Like all the versions of Nightwing that have happened, or at least that they did in that style. So yeah, it's the figure game here is strong, and I don't even try to keep up. I was like, all right, let's let's get a few things so I don't look like I'm completely out of place here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a good community working there, and glad to have you back here anytime to talk about books as you're creating. If you want to jump on to promo an appearance at a con or anything like that, just let me know, and I'm glad to have you back to feature you.
Oh, definitely. Hey, heck yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
totally do that. This was
absolutely.
you seem to be a cool dude to talk to,
We
and
try. We try. Thanks.
yeah, and come out to a con. I'll let you know. Like I said, I'll let you know when I'm doing my next one is, or when something that maybe fits in your schedule. You say you're a teacher, so you can probably the summer is probably your best time, I imagine. Then
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah. True enough. True enough. Well, glad to
yeah.
connect here, glad to connect in person, and we will talk again soon.